Penny Wilson came to my attention at the Community Foundation when she was our Jordan Award winner. And so I got the pleasure of being able to go visit Penny many times from 2004 onward. And I have to say that Penny came to every single annual meeting and every single sweet charity once she learned about the Community Foundation. And for that, we're grateful. She always added an amazing spark to anything we did.
I was lucky enough to know Penny pretty much my whole life. I was one of those lower schoolers in the 50s and 60s when Teacher Penny was our art teacher. Our paths crossed again at Westtown some 40 years later when I became the lower school principal. Penny was one of a kind. Her generosity was enormous, as was her keen awareness for all things practical. She had high standards and equally high expectations. Before listening to visions and plans for something new, she quite rightly always wanted and needed to be sure we were on top of taking care of everything that we had. Penny's engagement with students was always quick and wonderful to see. She was interested in everything they were doing and learning. All the other adults just kind of faded away in the background as she engaged with them and was completely focused on them. It was one of her gifts. Although Penny was a leader in numerous projects on campus, she could not be convinced to have anything named for her. She not only didn't want or need the recognition, she just very practically said from her experience, it was going to need to be changed in the coming years. And in her words, let's just save us all the trouble. Penny truly made a difference in significant and meaningful ways for generations of students and faculty now and I know going on into the future. Penny modeled for us all how to be in the world.
I started working at the hospital in 2007. That's when I first met Penny. But Penny had a long relationship with Chester County Hospital. Penny was a member of the Willistown branch hospital's Women's Auxiliary. So the Women's Auxiliary goes back to 1893, and it's been very involved in the life of the hospital since its inception. And so it would be natural for Penny to initially be involved in the hospital through that community event. But Penny joined the hospital's board in 1973 and served on the board for many years. Her whimsical, playful nature, that's just the way she was. Just funny, enjoyed life. There was a twinkle in her eye. She had that wonderful voice that I loved to listen to. She had an unrestrained laughter that was always made you laugh with her. Wonderful sense of humor, of course. And the one thing that I noticed was that Penny had a passion to help improve, however she could, something that was important to her and to her community.
I remember the first time about 10 years ago when Kevin and Franny App took me to meet Penny because I was the new hospital president. And at first I was a little anxious about how do you have an interaction with a woman who appears not to be able to hear very much. And so I'm trying to describe this project to her, and I'm thinking, oh man, we're just totally lost. She's not getting any of this. And then out comes a zinger, and she's teasing me, making funny comments about things. And I realize she's plenty sharp. She's on top of it. I have no idea if she's reading lips or she can really hear. She had a rare combination of gifts. She was joyful and creative, and also very practical. And we go from laughing ourselves silly to her asking me how long ago it was we replaced our boilers. There just aren't that many people whose life fills so many other lives with joy, and I'm grateful for her.
My first encounters with Penny were when I was not even of driving age. And so we all rode together, went to horse shows together, and Penny was always a presence. She was always there to support her children. She always had a smile. I don't think I ever encountered Penny Wilson without a smile on her face and ultimately on my face.
Penny and I got to be very close friends in the past 10 years. She told me that she never graduated because she always was learning. And that was so true of her. She was so curious about everything.
Penny has helped us build foundations, both literally and figuratively, that are safeguarding our mission today and into the future. Over the years, because it seems so apt, we often shared with Penny Ralph Waldo Emerson's writing that 1,000 forests are in the creation of one acorn, and without question, so many of natural land's successes are manifestations of acorns that Penny planted. I really want to extend our enormous appreciation to Penny's great big family for sharing their mom, their Grummy, with us over the years. We would want to say, and certainly not for the last time, really thank you, Penny, from the bottom of our shared conservation hearts.
It is a privilege and a pleasure to be able to remember Penny publicly. As time went on, I began to meet Penny at various events, and it always struck me that everything everybody has said so far held true consistently, because I'm one of many people she has met in a variety of contexts, and yet she always seemed to know who I was. Most recently, she was a supporter of our Becoming Chester County permanent reinstallation of an exhibition, 5,000 square feet. And I'm very glad that despite all the postponements, all the amount of time it took to get it done, because it was years, that she was able to see it this past fall in person. And I know that her impact here is very long lasting and will be appreciated by many for a very long time to come.
I first met Penny, must have been, I guess, in the late 80s. I was actually renting the old schoolhouse from John and Peg Nagy. And Penny and John were across the street, and I walked over and John introduced me. And I remember after that meeting walking away and thinking to myself, that's a really neat lady. I didn't know exactly why. The smile that everybody has alluded to always made me think that she was a step or 5 ahead of everybody else. When we parted ways, I always felt that in some way I was a better person for having spent that time with her. She was a nuts and bolts kind of lady, and what a great project for that kind of persona than working with other individuals and converting historic Sugartown into what it is today.
I first met Penny probably the second week I became director. First visit was historic Sugartown. Second visit was going to lunch to meet Penny. And I brought the photograph that's shown here to share with her and to ask her a little bit more about the early days of the restoration, because it was all new to me, of course. And she took one look at that picture and she said, well, that could not be me because I've never owned a pair of pants like that. Then burst into laughter, her wonderful laughter. And then we went on to talk about the restoration, and Penny's generosity and her creativity and her real appreciation for historic preservation is infused in every piece of wood, shingle, stone on that property.
So I had the great pleasure of meeting Penny when I married into the Elser family here in Chester County. When I went to write her about Uptown, I thought with the community potential and potential for collaboration with the Historical Society across the street, of every donor that I've ever met, she truly understood the power of places like Uptown and all of that we've talked about today.
I knew that Penny had been a funder and supporter from day one. We thank Penny for helping so many organizations whose futures she believed in, because they represented the best of the coming together of community for the greater good. And I know I will never meet another person like her, and that's okay, because as far as I'm concerned, she was the best.
So thank you, everyone, for making sure that people know Penny Wilson. She has let her legacy of community care and conservation make a huge difference now and forever and ever and ever.